Hey, sports fans, it's your pal Val back with another pulse pounding video. Today's topic, as voted by my followers on the X platform, formerly Twitter, I'm going to show you my Star Trek action figure collection. Yes, my Star Trek action figure collection, um, which all apparently fits in this one quart no, not quart, gallon Ziploc bag. Because this is how I store most of my collectibles. So I know they look very cramped in here, and I had one person say to me on X that they needed to be let out to breathe. But this is how I store most of my collectibles, and just like the most room efficient methodology possible. And yeah, that's don't let it fool you. It's a lot of stuff in this bag, and certainly it's not one of the great Star Trek action figure collections of all time, but it's a personal collection. It's personal to me, and I guess the backstory on it is that when I was like a really little kid, the original Star Trek TV show was playing in the background on syndication all the time, like all the time, like as far back as I can remember, right? Like I'm talking like in the late 70s. That's how far back. Like when we still had a black and white television before we got we got the big color model. This is Star Trek reruns. Original Trek was kept playing over and over and over in the house, so I was very very familiar with original Trek and Kirk and Spock and McCoy and Scotty and Uhura and Sulu and that's da, da, da. I I loved it. I loved it. And then in the late 80s, I think, mid late 80s, you had Star Trek The Next Generation, a great show. Did I love it as much as the original Star Trek? Well, I mean, apples and oranges in a way. The shows are kind of apples and oranges in a way, and but still, I mean, a great show and whatnot. And they actually released a line of that. Well, I'll do the history of all the action figures later, of all the different Star Trek action figure releases. I'll do that in a few minutes. But just my background. So Next Generation, and then in the early '90s, a toy maker called Playmates started to put out this line of Star Trek figures of like everything, of like original Trek and Next Generation and Deep Space Nine and everything. And they're really cool. And I think the only one I actually bought from that original release was Data. Um, but they're really cool, and I always said to myself, well, I have these certain obscure characters that I really love, and they have them as action figures. So I'm going to buy them someday. And then, like, flash forward a lot to like a year or two ago, like maybe 2 years ago, whatever. And I'm thinking, because I'm like, I still have these Playmate Star Trek figures on my want list after years and decades, whatever. I should just pull the trigger and just buy some of them. And to explain part of my process, like when I say that, like I'm hoping they're really cheap in the secondary market, which like strangely a lot of 90s toys are really cheap on the secondary market. So I found that for the Star Trek Playmate stuff, like I could get things that were like 30 years old, mint on card for like $10. Um, which is crazy, like it's crazy. It's crazy that they're in the box, they're that long for 30 years. And it's just like, and everything, but I was just like, I'm going to pull the trigger. And I was so fastidious about it. I had like my core list. All right, the core list. I just want to get through the core list of things that I wanted. And then, you know, at some other unspecified time in my life, maybe I would go to like the secondary list. But I did get everything from the core list. And I'm going to show them to you now. And I was going to write up a whole bunch of like, nerdy notes and whatever about like all the history and everything to jog my memory. But that's for wimps. Notes before video, that's for wimps. That's not what we do here. We're spontaneous, crazy. Anything could happen here. So let's go. All right, so I'm opening this, and I'm going to start, just to get this out of the way, with this fellow. From here, okay. This is the actor Frank Gorshin as Bele, I believe, from the original Trek episode Let This Be Your Final Battleground. I believe that's the title. And unlike all the rest of the figures here, this is like it looks like a Mego sized figure, but I believe it's not 8 inch. I think it may almost be like 9 inches. 9-inch figure, a doll, basically. It's a doll. And I got this one because I had the original Mego one from the 70s. I had that a long time ago. I bought it in a convention in the 1990s, like in the original. It wasn't of this Frank Gorshin character. It was basically of the aliens that populated the world in that episode, which was like the Charon. So like I had that doll. But I mean that doll that doll had been long since, I had long since sold it on eBay. And I was just sort of like, I saw this like cheap on eBay, and it was just sort of like, it reminded me of that Mego doll I used to own, and had Frank Gorshin. And it's, as you can see, it is Frank Gorshin, who played the Riddler in Batman. It's a really good sculpt and likeness of him too. If you were inclined to make customs, you could probably like take off all the paint on this, and you'd have a perfect Frank Gorshin, and you could just make the Riddler, and it'd probably look amazing. And so the story of this episode is basically, you have this planet, and half the people, like, a portion of the people have their face with the black side on the black on one side and the white on the other side, and then they, like, are oppressing the other type of people on the planet who have this but reversed, who have the white on the other side and the black on the other side. And if you're thinking this was, like a message episode about intolerance, you would be correct. And it may sound a little heavy-handed, but I think at the time, I think it was brave to have, because, I mean, it's, what shows were addressing these issues? You had like maybe Twilight Zone, and you'd be surprised, actually, some of the westerns back then, like in the late 50s into the 60s, and the cop shows actually had really daring, like really well written plots too, like about like subjects that are like very controversial. But anyway, yeah, I mean that was the episode. And so, like, Bella is chasing the other guy, and like at the end of and Kirk can't figure out, like, why are you guys fighting? And then Bella's like, do you understand? Like, he has the black is on the other side of the face and not on this side. And it was just, yeah, I mean, it's yeah. But this is the doll. I would love to get more. That's my secondary tier thing, is I would love to get more Mego, Star Trek figures. And I mean, this I think was still made by this was still made by Playmates, and to maybe get some of them, because they had some really great, interesting characters. I think a few characters that they didn't make as action figures, but that was like on my secondary list that I don't know, I may never pursue. So everything we're covering here is kind of like my first tier list. But anyway, that is Billy the Charon, the original Trek. Okay. And okay, I'm gonna pull some. All right, here we go. It's all right. I guess we're doing this. So this is taking it out of my Ziploc bag. This is Lieutenant. Is it Lieutenant? Leah from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. This is Leah from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I'm still trying to get used to this. Like, if I go like this, would this be better? I'm gonna do this. I'm confused as heck doing. I needed to take like a Coursera course on making videos. But anyway, here is Leah from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. I believe played by Persis Khambatta. the late Persis Kambata. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And she's basically this alien from this world where everybody is super super sexual. And by the way, this is the original Star Trek movie, Star Trek the motion picture from I believe the very late 70s. Um, so anyway, like Elia's from like this planet where everyone is like hypersexual, and like I think like you could just touch, like she could just touch your head or something and you get a massive orgasm and whatever. And so she's just a character. uh Probably, I think she's probably really empathic too. She's just a character from that thing. And then like she somehow in the movie gets, this is part of it, like she gets her mind gets melded with like the or taken over by the Voyager, which they call V'ger. Like there's this thing called V'ger. I'm like, what is V'ger? And what is this alien V'ger? And then you find out at the end of the movie, it's really like the Voyager probe, the Voyager thing that they had sent out a long time ago, back in our time. And they got like and then she's like, she's really just she's possessed by alien intelligence, not alien intelligence, AI. Basically, it's almost like AI because it's some weird thing. And at the end of the movie, her and I think it's Decker, Stephen Collins, who's like a new character too. They have like what some people have fans have referred to as the space F. You know what I mean by F, right? Like they just look like they just have this massive orgasm, and all his hair literally sticks up on end, and then like he gets absorbed into like the satellite and her, and they both like turn into like binary computer information, and that's the movie, and that's and I like Star Trek the motion picture. It's not for everyone, and it clearly wasn't for everyone because it wasn't really. It's a little bit considered a bit of a disappointment, but I liked it, and so I got this figure. And again, these figures. I got this brand new with all the accessories and everything, like on the card. I don't keep things on card because you have something on card sealed, like for 30 years, 40 years. I mean, that can't be good. That can't be good for the figure. Because things like there's there's microplastics, everything. So what you really want to do is you want to when you buy that like 30-year-old like McFarlane action figure that's been sealed with like that really yellow plastic window, and the first thing you want to do when you buy that mint on card for like $11 because nobody wants it is you want to take that yellowed window bubble right off, and then all the fumes hit you from 30 years. It's all the fumes, everything, things that were never, approved by the FDA. It's everything. That's the action figure collecting life. So there you go. But anyway, I got her for like $8, $10, and there she is, Lieutenant Alia. All right, I'm gonna put this back in her baggie with her accessories. And the next one is. I'm going to do something easy. This is just a Picard. It's just Picard. It's just Picard. It's just Professor X. I know him more. I know him more as Professor X than as Picard. you can see how much Next Generation I watched and vibed with. But he's cool. No, I mean he's great. He's one of the great captains of all time, and everybody loves him. And I don't know, he's in I think some sort of, maybe this is like a ceremonial outfit or something. But there you go. And Picard, everyone, Picard from Next Generation, Patrick Stewart. Here he is. I think wasn't he also in Dune? David Lynch's Dune, I think probably. But this Picard. So I have Picard, and let's see. That one. I'll do that one later. Okay. So this one, and then here we go. We have Spock. We have Spock. I'm going to get the hang of this. I know I will. This is Spock. Here he is. He's Spock. I'm Spock. And this is Spock. It's just Spock. I don't think this is his regular. I think this and Picard and some of these other main captains all came from the same gift set or something. But this is Spock, and I like Spock. I mean, what can you say bad about Spock? Leonard Nimoy, he's great. Classic character, everybody loves him. And he's Spock. So you can't really have a Star Trek action figure collection without Spock. So Spock. Okay. We'll go for another easy one. Okay, here's one. Okay, here's another one. It is Deanna Troi from Next Generation. There she is. Deanna Troi from Next Generation. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? Like, she's great. Deanna Troi is like an empath, can read minds. Kind of like some Spock stuff, but then also kind of like Aaliyah from she's actually kind of a little bit like Aaliyah from the Star Trek to Motion Picture too. She has those sort of qualities, and I don't know if she's like hypersexual like Aaliyah. I think she is a little bit, isn't she? I don't know. I don't want to cast aspersions on Deanna Troi, but this is just a standard Deanna Troi figure. Doodly doodly doo, Deanna Troi. All right. And this is Kira, right? Kira Nerys from Deep Space Nine. I think also part of that sort of ceremonial outfit set that the other main Star Trek and Star Trek Next Generation peeps are in, because she's from Deep Space Nine. I always kind of wanted to have an Odo to put with her, and that's the second tier. But there she is. Deep Space Nine. There you go. Let's just kind of get some of these out. Okay, we're just gonna. Do I want to go? Do I want to jump there? Pick another. All right, let's just do. My computer's going. So here is. Let's do all the easy ones first. So this is Jonathan Frakes. This is you know who Jonathan Frakes is. He has a character name. What is that character name? Jonathan Frakes. He is doopy doopy doo. There's Picard, and then there is Commander Jonathan Frakes. It's Commander Jonathan Frakes. The name is not coming to me this exact second, but it is. But I remember all the weird details attached to the character. So like I know like he had this whole thing where he would like, instead of like sitting normal in a chair, like approaching a chair normally to sit on it, he would just like put his whole big long ass leg like over the chair and sit on it. I know that Jonathan Frakes hosted Riker. This is Riker. So this is Riker, but also Jonathan Frakes. He has that he had a TV show called Beyond Belief, I believe it was, where it's like, he'd be like, here's a weird story. Is this true or is this false? Or we're going to tell this story and then you're going to find out, and then you're going to feel dumb because you thought it was real. Or you didn't think it was real and it was real. I don't know what to say about Riker. He's just that classic handsome guy on the show. He's no Spock, I'll tell you that much, but he's all right. I'll let it pass. Okay, here's a good one. Here's a funny one. So here it is. I have 2 Guinans. See that? 2 Guinans. Now, why do I have 2 Whoopi Goldberg Guinan figures? Why is this? Well, first I guess way back in the day, like I got the one figure. And I was like, oh, that's really great. I was on my first tier list. Guinan, really awesome character. I got her. And then I think I got like another. It wasn't even like this one. I got like, then somehow I had a second one from a lot. And then I was like, I don't want to have 2 Guinans. So then I took the second Guinan, and the neighborhood I used to live in had like these sort of exchange centers where you could like drop off like mostly books, but also just collectible crap or whatever. And so I put one of the Guinans, the extra Guinan, in the collectible center, and I was like, so I just had 1 Guinan. But then somehow I ended up buying another lot, and there was another Guinan. So now I'm always going to have 2 Guinan. Is it Guinan? Guinan? Am I doing that wrong? I don't know. But I think I'm fated forever to have two of these for some reason. And there she is. There they are. Hey, hello. They're nice. What can you say? I mean, they really, and I don't think these are variants of each other. I think they're just the Guinan. So I've got 2 of them. I always will have 2. If I got rid of one of them, I think then God would be like, you know what you need? Well, no, what do I need? You need another Guinan. Oh. Okay, and then of course we have Commander Sisko. Commander Sisko from Deep Space Nine. There he is. Commander Sisko. The actor's name escapes me, and I'm gonna feel really dumb. But he was also in a TV show with somebody with the guy from Vegas. Remember they had a teaser. I think he played Hawk. I think it was the character Hawk. I don't remember. This is why the notes would have been really great. This is not like archive worthy an archive worthy video. There are I would assume much better videos. This is just a personal take. This is a personal take, but this is Commander Sisko, and I mean Deep Space Nine. Probably enjoyed it. I would say I kind of enjoyed it more than Next. I like Next Generation a lot. I like it. I liked it. I thought Deep Space Nine was just a little more nerdy and rough around the edges, and there are aspects of that I liked more than Next Gen. Though I like Next Gen. I just like Deep Space Nine a little bit more, but there he is, and I think he's part, again, of that ceremonial outfit collection that the other main characters were. Now, here's one I did buy. Mint on card. Again, it is Data, because that was like my original foray into collecting these in the 90s. Early 90s was the Data figure, and there he is. There's Data. What can you say about Data? Because sort of they can see him better. Hello, I'm Data. He's great. And a lot of these characters are kind of reminiscent of the other ones, aren't they? The earlier ones, like Next Generation. Riker is no Spock by any. I'm gonna keep saying it. He's no Spock, but Data is kind of like Spock. But he's also not like Spock, because he's like taking the next step, because like Spock is kind of computer, like, kind of robot-like. Not robot-like. I'm not going to say that. He's very, but Data takes it one step further, because he's just like artificial intelligence, right? He's artificial intelligence. He's gonna do Batman and Garfield memes all over Pinterest. Anyway, this is the only one I had. I had actually bought, and this is not the original, of course, but it comes with all his accessories, because I got a mint on card, and he was really cheap, because most of them, like I said, there were very few of these figures that had any premium on them whatsoever. I'm going to back up for a second. I'm just going to tell you my nerdy knowledge of history. So, basically, these figures, like, you notice the style of these figures? You notice the style here? It's not highly realistic, right? This is not a highly realistic looking figure by any stretch of the imagination, right? The head's is slightly big, it's slightly squat, it's very simplistic, right? But that was the style that Playmates did with all their action figures. That was they were the people who did Ninja Turtles in the late 80s. They were the Ninja Turtles. And that's the one toy brand that I will say that the prices have like really jumped up on over the last year. Is it the original Ninja Turtles from Playmates? Those prices are terrifying. Should have bought more of those like earlier, and I didn't. But their Playmates action figures are all sort of squat in that style. In the Ninja Turtle style, of course, this kind of like, the big head and sort of like wrestler. That's based on what? That's really kind of like based on He-Man figures from before Turtles, right? From like the early 80s into the mid 80s, that same thing. And so Playmates would get these licenses, and they would kind of make them kind of simple like that. Like the Dick Tracy one's even more exaggerated than this, because the Dick Tracy one actually looks like just like humans made as like Ninja Turtle dimensions, and I could see, that's a video for another lifetime. But so this was a standard template for Playmates and for their Star Trek line, and they put out tremendous amount of Star Trek figures for this line, just a tremendous amount of stuff, and they're great, and I love them, but they don't go for a lot on the secondary market, at least as I know of this video and several months ago. Things might have changed. It's a bold, brave new world, and the Fred Hulk and everything. So, and so here we go, the man of the hour. I'm gonna get this right. When I was a little kid, I had to the left and right thing. I'm serious. As a little kid, I was, this is a segue. I was considered really smart. Like I entered kindergarten and like I could read Louisa May Alcott's like Little Women. Like my parents made me demonstrate to like the people who were like letting me into the special program, like the gifted program, like in my in the neighborhood, like for kindergarten. It's like, look, go read Little Women, show them. So it's like I was really considered really smart. But then of course and I'm sure like there was probably a name for this sort of thing. It's just, but then it's like what's your left and what's your right, and it's like, and then it's like like writing down, okay, like this with crib note just like L. So this is amazing. I'm gonna have to really do some study on how to the logistics of this. But anyway, I digress. This is Captain Kirk. This is the man of the hour. Is this my favorite captain? Star Trek captain? Yes, he is. I would say he is the gold standard for me. But you see, that's because I grew up with him. That is not like a an objective statement on Patrick Stewart or anybody else. Like I'm just saying, this is who I grew up with. This was Captain Kirk. This is William Shatner, and you know Kirk, right? I think he was the gold standard captain. But I mean, a lot of that's based on what? Because I grew up with him, so of course I'm going to say that. Of course I'm going to say that. But he is, and there he is. All right. What else do we have here cooking? But I will say that a runner-up for me in favorite captains, Star Trek captains, is Commander Pike. I think it's Commander Christopher Pike, who was the Enterprise commander before Kirk, and he was played by an actor named Jeffrey Hunter, who played another Christopher Christ. He also plays Jesus Christ in a I don't think it was Greatest Story Ever Told. It was one of those. It was one of those '60s movies. Like he was also really known for playing Jesus Christ, and he was the original. He was the original commander on the Enterprise, and that was for the pilot. And then after the pilot, it was like they had William Shatner. But then what they did is they had this pilot. Now, was the pilot called? I have an informational card here. Like this, I got this like Nintendo cards. I have informational. Oh, here we go. I think this is sealed though, but this is. Here we go. There it is. Captain Christopher Pike. There he is. There's our man. I believe the pilot was called the Menagerie. Was it? I believe there was. I think the pilot was called the Menagerie. Might have been called the Menagerie. He goes to like this planet of all these big-headed aliens, and finds out like that they're all like messing with people telepathically and this whole thing, and that's the pilot. But then they took footage from the pilot and worked it into an early Trek episode of the William Shatner stuff, original Trek, as I think called The Cage. It's one of those Menagerie in the Cage. It's basically this official original Trek episode it kind of gives context to the pilot with Jeffrey Hunter as Christopher Pike. And basically in the Trek, in the original Trek version of this, the continuity, it's a really sad story because basically like you find out like what actually happened was that he like sort of crashed into the alien planet and like was just so badly effed up that like I mean like just so mangled that like he it's just like in a like a Dalek type wheelchair and can only communicate in beeps, and I mean he's completely burned and paralyzed and everything. And what the aliens, the Talosians, do is that they basically they basically just sort of mess with his head so he seems fine and he's just living a normal happy life there on the planet, and they're just doing it as like a favor, you know. They're and so speaking of the Telosians, I have, of course, a Telosian. I have a Telosian, and yeah, I believe most of these Telosians were played by they seem male, you know, but they're mostly played by women in the episode because they're very delicate. And left, right. Here we go. So this is a Telosian, and these are the aliens that you know, with Christopher Pike, you know, sort of like Christopher Pike and the aliens and everything. So yeah, there's a funny story about the aliens. Actually, the Telosians. So basically, all right. Here's a story about the Telosians. I wanted to tell you. Can I tell you the story about the Telosians? I'm dying to tell you a story about the Telosians. Basically, Gene Roddenberry uh, was involved with a group of people who claimed to be sort of channeler psychics who were claimed to be in contact with an alien entity called the Nine. And this is not bullshit. Like, this is actually, if you look it up, Gene Roddenberry was actually involved with these people. They claimed to be contacting these aliens and stuff. And you know who also was claiming to kind of be in contact with aliens? And that's a turn of the century occultist, Aleister Crowley. And he claimed to also be channeling aliens, and the alien he claimed to be channeling was this alien that like had like this well, he drew a picture of it, and you know what the alien looked like? Looked like this. The alien looked like this. It's called Lamb. The Crowley drew it. Looked just like this. And then what a coincidence. And then Gene Roddenberry has this show with the you know, I'm going to put Lamb in there. No one's going to ever know. But it's like, and I'm, you know, messing with this cult that's like, you know, channeling aliens and with that. But this is it's a lot of weird shit. That's a rabbit hole if you want to look that up. But that's a Telosian, and it was definitely on my must get list. And here's a better photo of it, of the Telosian. And yeah, I mean, this is a Telosian, and it's a chick. It's an actress playing the Telosians, and there you go. So anyway, that's my little history lesson about Gene Roddenberry. It's like, I'm doing this TV show. I'm best known for doing this TV show about outer space and aliens, and also I'm friends with these people who actually claim to be in contact with aliens. It's a free country. So, but now for something complete. Oh, you know what? Let me to close out the Telosian Pike thing. Okay. So, you know, just because it is Star Trek, right? And it's a little bit of, you know, it's a little bit of wah wah wah. So this is Vina, the I think it's the Orion animal woman or whatever. It's like basically this is like supposed to be a species of woman who insatiable for sex, right? And if you watch a lot of if you watch a lot of Star Trek, you know, you start to notice a pattern with this. Like, yeah, this is a female character. She comes from this planet. We're just insatiable for sex. What can you do? And then this other character, planet, you know, empathic. This can give you orgasms. This by thing. And it's if you think that there's like a pattern going on with that stuff, you might be right. But in reality, this was actually a character. I forgot her name. Was it Vina? I forget. But basically, on that planet with Christopher Pike was this woman who was also stranded on the planet. And, you know, the Telosians made her look like a sexy wah 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 wah. Just sort of I don't know, like, it's been a long time since I've seen that episode, but basically she's like seducing, you know, Pike, and they're like, you know, na 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 na. And, but actually what it is, you find out then in I think the episode is The Cage, the original Trek, like, official episode, that she was also like just another human who crash landed on their planet, was like totally mangled, and the Telosians tried to do like surgery on her, but they never saw a human before, so they made her even more messed up. And so basically what you have is these two people both crash landed on this planet at different times, horribly deformed and just unable to function. And the Telosians, out of just like pity, gives them like this totally normal life where they're totally okay and functional. And it's a really sad story. It's really depressing, but kind of heartwarming, but also depressing. But that's Christopher Pike. Now I'm done with the Christopher Pike stuff. All right, so this is McCoy. This is Dr. McCoy. This video, how long has this video been so far? Jesus Christ. I'm gonna hurry up a bit. All right, so this is Dr. McCoy, and this is actually not the original Dr. McCoy. This is the Dr. McCoy from Star Trek The Motion Picture. And I always remember that one because the beginning of this movie, you know, like this is like now 10 years after everything. He's, you know, I call him Disco McCoy because he's got like the disco outfit with the big lapels and the chains, and he's got a gigantic beard. He's just like sitting in a bar, like getting drunk and stuff like that. And then he gets like drafted basically, you know, by the Enterprise. It's like Kirk's like, I need you, Bones. I need you. There's something out there, and only you can help us. And that's him in this movie. That's DeForest Kelley, and Bones, probably one of my favorite of the core original Trek characters. When I was a little kid, my dad gave me the nickname Bones after McCoy, and I have no idea why. Jim. I had this nickname, Bones. I don't know, but he's dead, Jim. What other things did he say? Like, I'm a doctor, not a farmer. I never did that. I never acted like that as a kid. I don't act like that now, and I don't know. There's nothing. But I'm just saying, McCoy's always been a favorite, and so now I have a McCoy, and if I had my druthers and I had was doing the second tier purchases, I would maybe get some more McCoys, but this is good for now. And we're almost done, folks. We're almost done. So this is a guest star. Who is this? Trek fans, who is this? This is Edith Keeler. From the episode City on the Edge of Tomorrow. Edith Keeler, City on the Edge of Tomorrow, played by who? Who is she? Who is she played by? Who is she? Joan Collins. That's right, Dynasty's own Joan Collins. And it's another sad story, right? And it's episode written by science fiction great Harlan Ellison, who I talked to once on the phone, and he asked me if I liked pizzas because I was Italian. But I have a lot of respect for him. I don't want it to seem like I don't have respect for him because he called me pizza eater because I have an Italian name. But I love him. I love Harlan. He's great. Everyone loves Harlan. Anyway, back to the episode. Yeah. So basically, she's this incredibly saintly woman who runs a soup kitchen for homeless people, and she's just so saintly. But unfortunately, what happened in the timeline, it's this space she somehow leads to having Hitler or someone become king or some bad shit happen. And the only way that all the bad shit in that timeline can not happen is if she's dead. So it's would you kill the most saintly person in the entire world if just to save the timeline? And that's the episode. I'm not going to go through all the details. I do want to show you one accessory that I always liked from that. Can I find that easily, or is that going to be really difficult in this big quart bag? She came with this kettle. Where's the kettle? What is this? Oh, and I think a typewriter. Is it? Did she come with a typewriter? I don't know. I have a typewriter here. Where's the kettle, man? Come on, this video is almost over, and if I don't show the kettle, I'm gonna be sad. Where is her kettle? I don't know, but she comes with. Come on, man. Where's that kettle? I think it's one of these bags. Oh, here we are. I think this is the kettle. Is this the kettle? Yeah, okay. I'm just going to show you the kettle because it's on my mind to show you the kettle. Can I show you the kettle? She comes with a kettle. All right. And I want to show you how big this kettle is. So this is her. This is the kettle. Look how big that kettle is. That's a big ass kettle. But kettle. So I'm a completist. I have it all. But that's And so she did. I mean, that's like an obscure character that Playmates turned into a figure, and I think that's wonderful. And I think I only have one more. I have a set. I have a set of figures to show you, and this is It's so heartwarming. I really wanted to get this set for a while. It is Worf, Commander Worf. No, Commander Worf or Worf? Lieutenant Worf? He's Lieutenant Worf. I have an action figure. Sheriff Worf. This is Sheriff Worf and his son. There you go. There you go. Sheriff Worf and his son. His son's very cute. His son is very cute. There he is. Very cute son. And they're in an episode of Next Gen called A Fistful of Datas. Well, of course. Was Q involved in this? I have to ask. Since I guess there had to be a holodeck involved. It's A Fistful of Datas. In a Wild West holodeck fantasy with his son, Worf is the sheriff of Deadwood. But a computer glitch causes the participants to look like Data. And he's got to fight a bunch of Datas and stuff. Very cute. And I have another funny story about this character. I forgot his name, but I, in the course of my life, I've had people compare me to very strange people. But I had my first job in comics. I had my boss who will remain nameless as in terms of this in terms of this anecdote. But I had my boss once told me, we're sitting in the conference room, and he said, "Do you know what you look like sitting there in all these meetings, in these editorial meetings?" And I was like an assistant. I was like green, I was just like sitting all the way in the back. Just, not saying anything. You look like a baby Klingon, just sitting there, learning every single thing, observing every single thing, learning every single thing, and just stockpiling this knowledge and stuff like that. For one day, you can become the big Klingon. And I was like, why do people compare me to Bones, compare me to the baby Klingon? Like, I don't look anything like that. But then it's stuck in my head. And then, of course, rather than feel, it's a really sexy thing to be compared to a baby Klingon. It's just like, that's great. But then it was stuck in my head. It's like, I got to get that baby Klingon figure. So there you go. And that's my Star Trek collection. And that's my Shiro. And also I got a Enterprise in a lot. There it is. It's Metal Enterprise. Probably Ertl. Yeah, it's Ertl. It's not much to see. That's, Enterprise. So anyway, that's my Star Trek collection. Figures I would still like to get. I mean, figures I would like them to still make, and I don't think they have made them yet. Like things like Charlie X, that I'm thinking of the officially authorized Star Trek paperback from the 70s, The Price of the Phoenix, and they have a character who's like this big alpha. That would be hilarious. They'll never do that though. That book is. I've talked about that book in X, but I mean, there's just a whole bunch of things, and there's a whole tier of like other figures I would want. Like it's a lot of stuff. It's not on my list right now. Like right now, I'm just sort of like I'm actually kind of going through my stuff. Of like like what am I really like enjoying keeping, and like what am I like selling or giving out, this and that. And it's not on my list right now to start buying more Star Trek. I'm pretty satisfied with what I have. But you never know, like in another 5 years, I'll be just like, there'll just be like a wall behind me, just like filled with Star Trek stuff, and it could happen. Anything could happen. But thank you for watching this, and 45 minutes. And I will speak to you next time. Live long and prosper. Bye-bye.